Hey guys, what's up? Hope everybody's having a good day out there today. Thanks for tuning back in. And today I'm going to have a discussion and sort of have just a casual conversation on how to basically form a game plan for your day on the water. And I'm just going to run you guys through how I do it, what's worked for me. It's something I've sort of worked on for the past 30 or 40 years, and I think it might work for you too. So I'll sort of just go through the whole process a little bit. But hey, just real quick before we get started, just wanted to remind you guys, tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Johnny and I have our weekly live podcast. You can join us tonight, like I said, at 7 o'clock CST on Fish the Moment Live YouTube channel. Hope to see you there. And also just my weekly reminder, I want to let everybody know again that I'm offering memberships to my channel. And with these memberships, you get additional videos every week, access to my personal email on some memberships. It's a great way to support the channel if you guys would like to go a little bit farther and do that. And you can find out about that by going, just go to the About section on my main page, click on Intuitive Memberships, and that'll give you all the information. So finally we just got that dump truck out of here, and hopefully we can get started on this combo now. Okay, let's talk a little bit about game plans. I think one of the big things that's important is like if you have a limited amount of time to practice, it doesn't mean, it could be practice for a tournament, or it could just be, your weekend off that you wanted to go fishing. You have a limited amount of time to find fish. One of the biggest questions I get, and I've got this for years and years and years, is how do you go about locating bass quickly? And in order to locate bass quickly, you got to have some type of a game plan in mind as far as how to do that. So one of the biggest things that I like to do really on any body of water, it doesn't really matter how well I know that body of water, if I have a limited amount of time, say I've got 1 day to find them or 2 days or whatever, you simply can't cover the entire lake that you're fishing unless you're fishing a small body of water. If you're fishing like a 200-acre lake, that's a little bit different. But if you're fishing a typical man-made impoundment that's normally over 10,000 acres, over 5 to 10,000 acres, and a lot of times 40, 50, 100,000 acres, you can't even begin to cover all that. So don't even try. First thing I do when I'm formulating a game plan is I try to determine what I feel is going to be the best area of the lake based upon the time of year. Now, based upon the time of the year, there's going to be a lot of different areas that are productive. For example, in the wintertime, I always like to fish the lower end of the lake because a little bit deeper, steeper, clear water, bass bite a little bit better. In the springtime of the year, that's when I'm moving more back into the coves because the fish are wanting to move back in there to spawn. They're staging on secondary points. I'm looking for those bass to be in that type of water. In the post-spawn, early summer, that type of thing, I'm moving back out to those main lake and secondary points, the post-spawn areas. And in the fall time of the year, I may be looking at the upper creek arms and the river arms. So the first thing I do when I'm formulating a game plan is I determine the season that I'm fishing and pick out a part of the lake that I feel is going to be optimum for that. And this is when you need to do a little bit of research. Just Google your favorite lake, try to find out as much information as you can about how the lake lays out, areas that are traditionally productive at certain times of the year. That's going to give you a good starting point to do that. And then once you have a determination where you want to fish, that's when you can go into your Navionics or your mapping system or your lake maps or whatever, identify that portion of the lake and start analyzing what you think are going to be the best areas. I'll give you guys an example right now. Say if I wanted to break down a lake, or I wanted to formulate a game plan for August right now. In August, it's starting to get tough. Fishing's starting to get tougher. Water's dropping. Water's hot. There's a couple different options. You can decide to fish deep points, secondary main lake points, brush, that type of stuff, drop-offs, or there's going to be a population of shallow water fish. If I'm wanting to target shallow water fish, the game plan that I'm finalizing, the game plan that I'm thinking about is I'm going to look in the extremities, the upper creek extremities, upper river extremities. I'm going to examine my map. I'm going to find out where the flats are at. I'm going to find out on the map where like channel swings are, rock transitions, get on Google Earth, and I try to identify whatever bank cover is going to be there. I determined you know, what the best areas are going to be based upon the water level that I have and the available cover. It could be boat docks or whatever. And say I decide I'm going to fish up in the upper river part of the lake I'm fishing, and I look on there and there's you know, there's quite a few boat docks in the area. There may be some secondary points in the area. There may be some channel swing banks that I can see laydowns on the Google Earth. And I may formalize this game plan and say, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to fish docks for a couple hours on this one bank. And then I'm going to maybe go throw a shallow running crankbait on some of these flat or secondary points. And then I'm going to go up there, I'm going to flip these laydowns. You know, that's sort of the game plan that I'm formalizing based upon the cover that's available for me. Or if I'm fishing, say, the lower end of the lake, I'll identify the type of cover down there. For example, I'll look and I'll try to find a series of main lake points that have some channel swings next to them, and I'll pick out 6 or 7 points. And my game plan for that part of the lake is I'm going to start out early. I may fish a walking topwater up on those points shallow. Then I'll graph over those points. I'll see if I can find any drops, any fish, any hard structure. Get out there, throw a shaky head, throw a swim bait, throw a football head jig a little bit. I'll run 5 or 6 of those type of points. If that doesn't work, then my game plan from there moves on to the next one. I may try some secondary points or maybe some subtler points to see if that works on there. And between topwater early and fishing steeper points and flatter points and shallower points, normally you can figure out you know, where those fish are at. But the worst thing you can do when you're trying to formalize a game plan is you don't want to like start out, say your plan is to fish points, and you don't want to go out there and spend 2 or 3 hours fishing points and not catch one, and then say, this isn't working, I want to bail out, I want to run 30 miles down the lake and try something else. A lot of times when you do that, you take yourself away from the fish, because in order to give something a fair, you know, shot, you basically have to spend the whole day doing it, because it can be a combination of you may not be hitting on the exact right type of structure those fish are using, or it could be something as simple as a bait selection. For example, if I'm fishing up the river, I may think that they're biting a square bill crank, or I think they should be biting a square bill crankbait because I catch a lot of fish in the summertime doing that. But the personality of those fish may be different, and they may want to jig. And say I work down a stretch of laydowns and I throw a square bill crankbait and don't catch one, instead of writing that cover off, you might want to go back down through there, pitch a jig or a creature bait. It could just be something about a presentation. So the biggest advice I want to give you guys when you're formulating the game plan is section the lake down into smaller bite-sized chunks. You know, it could be a big creek arm, it could be just one part of the lake. Make that your lake and try to identify and fish all the different possibilities within that area. Once you do that, and then change up and you know, vary your techniques on your baits. And if it's working great, you can duplicate that pattern, you can run it, you can exploit it. If that isn't working, then your game plan for day 2 is to make a complete switch, go to a different part of the lake and try something completely different. Bass fishing is just a matter of elimination. That's all it is. Fish are always biting. Don't ever get out there and say the fishing's tough because the fish just aren't biting today. They're always biting, guys. Every single day they're biting, and they're biting good. You just have to find out you got to hit on that right combination of area and technique and lure choice in order to catch them out there. So anyway, that's how I do it. You know, just like I said, get yourself a system. You know, don't try to cover too much water. Maximize everything that you have out there. What?
Can we go?
Huh? You say hi?
No, I want to see. What? We gotta go to the store.
Okay. Well, looks like we might have to go to the store here. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. And we'll be back soon with another one. See you.